Unmute yourself, Popgun. Hello. So something I want to point out. I feel like I pointed this out before, but maybe somebody could help me understand what this is. So I tweeted out going live, posted the link, all that stuff. It gets retweeted by the Twitch community at Twitch SIE that has 34.5 thousand followers. Why does it randomly select? Does it just randomly pick Twitch URLs that are posted in Twitch to just retweet? Like, what if I'm doing a stream about kicking puppies? Like, they don't know what I'm doing. I guess they would take it down if that was the case, but still, it just seems... I wonder if one singular person from this that follows this Twitch community thing is going to tune into the podcast because they retweeted me. If that's the case, you're going to be really lost. Welcome. You're going to be really confused this whole time if you stick around. So hello, Falco, Toph, Mr. Rookie, Harry. Always stays up late. Probably a good Tuesday to you, Harry. Happy August indeed. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bot. I just don't understand what purpose this bot serves. I mean, I appreciate the retweet, but it doesn't really... Highly doubt it does anything. Launch Point Draft Cups this weekend? Is it really? Hello, Jazzo Corn. I haven't seen Blue Moon sign up for Low Ink yet. But I'm sure they have, and I just haven't caught it. So let me just go back and look through. See if Blue Moon has signed up. No, but there's a team called OK Popgun. Who is this? Blood Tyrant, Mailbox. I forget what team those guys usually are. Oh, great. Oh, it's OK Woomer, isn't it? You haven't signed up yet. Now, I'm not sitting here saying... Now, look... Tyuster, I'm not sitting here saying who is and ain't banned from Low Ink because, quite honestly, I have no idea. I don't have the slightest idea. It's been 2 months. We've had 3 SAC tournaments. We had a super jump, and whoever it was that tweeted out something like, low ink team, alpha teams are not as strong as they always have been. Oh boy, low ink alpha bracket teams have been spanking people over the course of the past month or so. So I have no idea. I'll freely say I have no freaking idea where the line is for low ink anymore. We need people to sign up so we can look at it. And it's going to be difficult being consistent, right? You want to be, okay, if we're going to ban this team, why are we banning them but we're not banning the other guys? It's going to be hard to be consistent this month, but we'll get it right. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm not saying anything, but I'll tell you this. I saw everything. I've seen everything. I saw Blue Moon. Who else? Essence made some noise. I feel like Squid Killers, they went 4-1. Crimson Quake keeps getting those alpha, those Mako brackets inked. One Friday Night Frenzy. It's, I mean, where New Horizon, I feel like, has gotten some solid wins as well. It's like, okay, where do we? Who knows? It's going to be an interesting low ink. Make sure you sign up sooner rather than later so we can get this figured out. It's vanilla? What's vanilla? Slow ink ain't gonna be a low ink. Well, it's gonna be a good tournament. I have no idea what Oh, you are vanilla. That's your IGN. Why you go by April? That's Oh, okay. See. E vanilla. Vanilla Sue, Woomy, Salty, Lucky. Yeah, we'll look into that. A lot of verification stuff that needs to go in today for this month. Yeah, you guys played at weren't you guys going to play in Super Jump, Falco? I guess I can just, why am I asking you questions? I can just ask you stuff in 30 minutes. Never mind. Your team kind of cracked. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's the first of the month. That means Essence needs to start beating their chest about how good they are for low ink. It has been 0 days since Essence bragged about how good they are in low ink. We need to start screening callers that come into the low ink pre-show. Did I not see SAC? I did. I mean, I went back and looked over it. I didn't play in it, obviously. But I have looked over. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be talking about it to some extent today. So I did see it, but I did not play in it. We left Haya in charge of the house over the weekend, and hoped it kind of gets through. Hoped it was still there when I came back, so that's a good sign. Good old Hia. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are celebrating the recent birth of George Jetson, popping a Healy after winning a Smash Brothers set, claiming that whoever wrote the rules for the tournament is wrong. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. That is, I haven't, okay, I don't look at other tournaments' help desks for entertainment. I know a lot of you do, and I'm not sitting here trying to judge you guys for that. And I know Low-Link Help Desk has become a bit of a crap show over the course of the years. But I did see some screenshots from the Nintendo tournament. I gotta admit, they're pretty doggone hilarious. Well, that one team straight up cheated and asked, like, why did we get kicked out of the tournament? And K-Bot just plainly explained, well, it's because you joined the lobby, auto-clicked that you won 2 games and left. Yeah, that will get you banned from the tournament, believe it or not. So I'm like, oh, this happens to other people. Okay, I'm glad. I thought JPEG and I were the only ones who dealt with nonsense. Oh, man. Oh, hey, there'll be no Popcast next week, I think. Now, I said this around this time last year because I'm going on vacation and I'm not planning on doing an episode unless something absolutely bonkers were to happen. And I said that last year, and something absolutely bonkers did happen. So I did an episode about it. When I came back, I came in on a Thursday and immediately did the episode. That was when the Elite Four situation came out. The team that cheated in the Nintendo tournament and at least got through the tournament away with it without having to get caught by K-Bot like that other team that cheated did earlier this weekend. So I don't think anything potentially crazy could happen. So next week might be the first actual week where I go without having a podcast. I've never done that. In the over 2 years now that I've been doing this, I've not missed a week. I'm planning on missing the week next week. Unless you guys find something ridiculous to happen, which I don't want to assume you guys can't come up with something. No Splatoon 3 news came out today. I don't know what that means. I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. Maybe some of you are. I think it's just Xenoblade came out and there's only so many clothing brands that they can tease to us. Have they been giving us, you guys say, oh, there's no news today. When have we really gotten any news in the past 3 months anyways? Oh, look, you can now wear Tony Kinsa clothes. Like, okay, I assume that was going to be there anyways. Is Tower Control in the game? Is Splat Zones in the game? Are we going to get anything? Yes, Toph, that's a fair point. We did get 2 maps. I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. I think there's just Xenoblade getting out of the way, and they're letting that have the spotlight for a bit, and then we'll get a direct. Hey, just be happy we know this game's coming. When Paper Mario came out on the Switch, we didn't even know until a month later. A month right before the game came out, there's Paper Mario. By the way, we made a new Paper Mario game. Like, no, it's not in works. We made it. It's done. You get it in a month. And we're like, what? Okay, thanks. It's just how things work. Don't freak out too much. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. And if you are a low-level person, boy, howdy, I don't want to hear you biatching or moaning about anything because you literally got something every single weekend. First off, this upcoming weekend is Minnow Cup, which is going to be Splat Zones only. That's going to be on Saturday. And as I found out in chat from the Moo, who is currently working on putting teams together for Launch Point Draft Cup, I believe that is this Sunday. And I am also assuming registration for that is already closed, considering they need the week to put the things together. So a lot of good stuff going on this entire weekend. Next weekend is Little Squid League 23. We've been having a lot of these. They've been cranking out these little squid leagues, getting them in when they can. And it's good to see that as well. Yes, Splat a Little. Thank you. I had that written down, but I forgot to say that. Splat a Little is this weekend as well. This is an open invite tournament this time around, so it's more of a splat, a little bit more, I guess you could say. I'm going to try to get my team to sign up for that, honestly. I won't be available this weekend to play in it, but maybe we can give Haya a second chance to right the ship there, Captain Haya. Or Captain Tofi, if Tofu's around. We'll talk about that later. So the weekend after Little Squid League, which is next weekend, the 13th, Low Ink is back. Low Ink, the final Low Ink in the month of, or for Splatoon 2 in general. August 20th through the 21st, we will crown a champion one last time until Splatoon 3 comes out, and we'll do it again in September all over again. But one more chance. Make sure you sign up sooner rather than later. I have, last I checked, there were 12 teams to sign up. Of those 12 teams, if everybody passes verification, I'm not saying one way or another because I honestly don't know, but if everyone passes verification of those 12 teams, I've already seen 6 that are solid locks to make my top 10. Already we got 6 of the top 10 filled out. Like teams that like I can't afford not to have them in the top 10. They're that good. So this is going to be a bloodbath of a Low Ink if the early registration sign up period has already indicated things. I'm wondering, I'm just speaking openly and I'm hoping this kind of happens. I wonder if Access Denied comes back. We haven't seen them in like 4 months. I wonder if they make one last run at it. I know it's been like mentally exhausting for them to make a run through here, but Access Denied, I'm calling you guys out. Sign up for Low Ink. Make another stab at it. If you're not banned or something like that. Today we are going to chat with Falco of Five Nights at Falco's Friday Night Frenzy. About, but not just about Friday Night Frenzy, but also did commentary for one of the Nintendo Inkopolis Showdown events. So we'll ask him some questions about that. All of that coming up, as well as a little recap on SAC, the Nintendo tournament, a look at paddling pool, how good is gas prices really, the team gas prices, not the actual thing gas prices, all that and more today on the episode of the Popcast. But first, for those unaware, FTWin tweeted out after they kind of won the last Nintendo tournament on Saturday, even though it was mostly FTWin, I guess because they included Zero, they need to go by Mad Titans or whatever. But they tweeted out that they are disbanding at the conclusion of the Nintendo tournament that took place on Saturday. Essentially, Shaq and Bursty are not going to be playing competitively in Splatoon 3 for now. Kyo going to be moving on to greener pastures somewhere else. The end of an era. So let's ask a question. How do you define greatness? It's a question I've been asking my team just kind of as a joke, but it's a question I've been thinking about. How do you define greatness? Because FTWin is the GOATs, right? The greatest of all time. But we don't say the best of. They're not the best of all time. They're the greatest of all time. Nobody says best of all time. Well, we're the boats. The boats. The heck is the boats mean? But why do we say that FTWin is the greatest? What exactly is great? In my opinion, after doing a lot of time thinking about this, greatness is that you are so good at what you do that you force change in some way. That either you're so good that things have to change to bring you back down to earth, or other teams or other players have to change what they do to catch up to you. Some examples of greatness in ball sports. Wilt Chamberlain, somebody who played basketball, back in the 50s, 60s, I want to say, died before most of you were even born, and there's no real video not a lot of film out there on what Wilt Chamberlain did. But Wilt Chamberlain, arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. Some would say he's better than Michael Jordan. Why? Because Wilt Chamberlain was so good at what he did, he forced rules to be changed. Because of Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball lane, the actual painted area, it's wider than what it normally is. Offensive goaltending, you can't do that because of Wilt Chamberlain. Having this guy massively bigger than everyone else just blocking shots at the rim, maybe we shouldn't let that happen. Maybe we shouldn't be letting that go on. Free throw lines. Before Wilt Chamberlain, there was no rule that said you had to stay behind the free throw line. So what would he do? He would jump from the free throw line and dunk in free throws. How ridiculous is that? Because of that, they made a rule that says, no, you can't physically jump from the free throw line. You got to stand right there. That is greatness. That is absolute greatness. Tiger Woods in the early 2000s was so incredibly dominant as a golfer, would just win majors by like 12, 15 strokes, would just destroy people, absolutely destroy people. Tiger Woods, you know what they did? They changed all the courses when Tiger Woods started winning. They made the courses bigger and more difficult. Now, it was more difficult for everyone, but at least closed the gap. They physically changed courses because Tiger Woods was so great. Bob Gibson. Now I've lost all of you because I had to even look into who Bob Gibson was this morning. Bob Gibson was a pitcher for the Cardinals back in the 60s and had a fastball that was so difficult that nobody could even hit it. So what happened is the pitching mounds used to be a lot higher, but because nobody could hit Bob Gibson's pitches, they lowered the mounds so that he couldn't just throw his fastballs as hard as he could. It was a lot difficult to do that. That is greatness. When you force rules to change. Could you imagine in Splatoon if somebody was just so good that you just got, all right, TOs, we got to change some rules. We got to make it so that you, what is FTWin's comp? Let's just make it so they can't use like a slosher and a C-Jet or something like that. We got to mix that up. Trying to bring it back here. But it's not just rule changes that define greatness. Like I said, you can force other teams to adapt to you. That's another sign of greatness. The Golden State Warriors dynasty in the mid-2010s forced other players to leave their teams. Players would leave their teams and go to other teams and ask them, if I join this team, can I beat the Warriors? Because that's how good they were. They were unbeatable, and they forced everybody to just kind of send all the best players to one team to buy them, try to knock them off, and they never were able to do that. That is what makes FTWin the GOATs of Splatoon 2. They forced teams to disband in order to keep up with them, to keep pace with them. Otherwise, they were just going to get left in the dust. And for a good stretch of time of 2019 through 2020 to into early 2021, that's exactly what happened. FTWin was so dominant that nobody could keep up with them in the West. Nobody could keep up with them. Here are some, I'm going to read off some numbers here. And these numbers are hilariously absurd. Hilariously absurd when you look into them. This is just from the Splatoon Nintendo North American tournaments. And I got 6 tournaments right here from 2019 through 2020, the end of 2020. And just for context, I'll list off the names because I'm not going over all of them. They didn't play in those Turf War tournaments that happened in July and October of 2020. So I'm getting tournament information from the Inkling Open in 2019, the Summer Open of 2019, the Winter Open of 2020, the Open in June 2020, the Open in September of 2020, and the Open in December of 2020, a.k.a. the Squid House. Here is their record per game in those 6 tournaments, which they won all of them, by the way. 167 wins, only 11 losses. That is a winning percentage of 94% in 178 games that they played. Per match, their record per match in those tournaments, 59-0. 59 wins, 0 losses. Now, you're saying, well, Pop Gun, that's the Nintendo tournament. Aren't those just laced with cupcakes? Yes, there are. A vast majority of these wins are against people that any pickup of people that are in chat right now would demolish. For sure. There's no argument against that. But that is not to say that they didn't run across monsters in all these tournaments and deal with them. At one point, they played Starburst. I think in the September 2021, they played Starburst. 4-3, they were able to beat them. 3 of their 4 losses coming in that one. They played Sayonara. They played Demise/Quantum. They ran up against the best teams in North America at some point in all these events and still beat them. And another thing that's kind of weird to point out, or cool to point out, you forget how many teams signed up in these tournaments. Across those 6 tournaments that I mentioned, the total number of teams that signed up in them, all 6 combined, 2,410 teams. Almost 2,500 teams played in just 6 tournaments. One of the tournaments, June of 2020, that Open had 732 teams playing it. Could you imagine that? That seems so bizarre now. And it was probably really bizarre then, but think it just 2 years ago, 732 teams were playing in a Splatoon tournament. That is insane. In 2,410 teams, we couldn't find one of them that could beat FTWin in a set for 2 years. Not one. That is dominance. In that reign, during that time, look at all the teams that were absolutely just gate-kept, that didn't win anything. During that stretch of time. No copies of ARMS, no trips to Japan that were canceled because of tsunamis, no trips to play the GG Boys live on stage, and you were beating GG Boys until they randomly in the middle of the set got 2 Splat Zone games back to back in like game 4 and 5. That is so insane. Here's the list of teams that just did not win anything during that stretch of time. Demise/Quantum, Sayonara, Supernova, Freeze, Radiant, Slaughterhouse, In Control, Prophecy. Nothing! Those are teams that were really strong back in the day. And I don't think any of them still exist. Radiance is now kind of like Alliance Rogue. Maybe Freeze is still around. I'm not quite sure. But those are all strong teams in their own right. That did, Supernova actually won one of the Turf War events that FTWin didn't sign up in. So it's like, okay, FTWin's not here. We can win something. But when FTWin signed up in a tournament from 2019 through the beginning of 2021, they almost never won anything. That is dominance. And yeah, they weren't like unbeatable. They weren't totally unbeatable. In Inkstorm 8, I believe Guru knocked them out, which essentially was like that Radiance Alliance Rogue kind of pickup at that time. So it wasn't like they were untouchable. And if somebody were to look through all the majors, and I spend a lot of time looking up the Nintendo stuff. I'm not sacrificing my entire morning to find everything information-wise about FTWin. But that just shows just how good they were. That all those teams that I mentioned they didn't disband because of FTWin, but if they were to stick around, they just couldn't get the job done. That's not to say they didn't have their opportunities. Just look at Genesis 7. Demise/Quantum, that had 0 on it. 0 before they played FTWin. They showed a little interview with Zero did talking about how how they wanted to beat FTWin so bad and do it on that stage. They took them to a game 5, couldn't get the job done. And then Quantum got upset by Sayonara, and Sayonara took a stab at it. And I believe they actually did to get a bracket reset against them, but still couldn't get the job done and knock them out. And that was always the thing. You would always take wins off of FTWin, but they were immortal. You couldn't knock them out. Even Starburst. Starburst played them in the September Open, took them to a game 7, couldn't finish them off. Played them in Tassel, another event in 2021 that FTWin just dominated. Couldn't knock them off then as well. So even Starburst had to struggle a long time before they could finally knock them off, even though they were not FTWin. But they did beat them in that final Nintendo tournament last year where Ant just had the RNG gods land all of those 96 shots in basically a 1v4 situation, killing a Rainmaker and being the first time where the actual FTWin rosters to some extent took an L in a Nintendo tournament. And that was the changing of the guard event. But still, the stranglehold for basically 2 years is something we've never really seen before. Yeah, there were really strong teams before FTWin. But when they took that final step and became the kings, there was nothing that could be done. For 2 solid years, there's nothing that could be done. And all those other teams eventually disbanded and reformed new monster, like just Frankenstein new teams together. All right, let's make Sayonara. Okay, that didn't work. All right, Supernova. Okay, that didn't work. All right, let's pull a player from this team. Let's pull a player from that team. Let's bring in this player here. All right, this is Starburst. All right, okay, this isn't working for now, but finally broke through and win. My point being for this, why is FTWin the greatest team of Splatoon 2 all time? Because without FTWin, you don't get Starburst. And unless some top level player wants to make a tweet proven wrong, that if FTWin didn't exist, Starburst would have formed around, so be it. But in my opinion, Starburst had to be formed because there was nobody else that could knock them out. And the main thing that knocked off FTWin in the end was college. Life happens. And to be fair, as somebody who went through college, I don't understand how any of you are in college right now are doing anything remotely close to playing video games. I love video games, and I could barely do it in college. And I went to a school that was not the most prestigious when it came to academics, I guess. So my mind is just blown that we have college players that play this game, period. But you don't get Starburst without FTWin. And that's where Splatoon 3 is going to start off, right? Because a lot of people were tweeting out rather confusingly, well, now that FTWin's gone, who's going to take up the mantle? Well, the mantle has already been taken up. The torch has already been passed. It's Starburst. It's not up for debate. And it's at the same level of dominance. It's their time now. It's already Starburst's time. Their level of dominance is right here, right now. And they're already beginning, and who knows how long this stretch is going to last. But right now, it's just Starburst and nobody else. Just like when it was FTWin and nobody else. But right now, it's just Starburst. You had Ice took a game off of them. Like Ice Cube took a game off of them in Super Jump. Jackpot took a game off of them in Super Jump. That's cool. But they're not fighting anybody in the West anymore. They're fighting teams in Japan. They're beating 4 tickets to victory in a game 5 in Splat Zones. They're taking Kings to a game 5 in Grand Finals. They're finding ways to how they can battle with Japan. They've transcended the West for now. And that's not to say somebody won't catch up to them eventually. But the torch has already been successfully passed. And when Splatoon 3 starts, Starburst is on top of the mountain, and it's everybody else that's playing catch-up. So the greatest team of Splatoon 3 probably is looking like it's going to be Starburst, because it's going to be their era for now, their dynasty for now. But you don't get to the dynasty that's about to come in Splatoon 3 without looking at the dynasty that was in place in Splatoon 2 with FTWin. And just think about the legacy that these guys had. Quad on FTWin. How many people have posted a tweet, quad on FTWin, that was just them like getting a quad on some random people in solo queue, just because that's the saying, quad on FTWin. That became a thing. Taking a game off of them became something that you needed to tweet about. We lost 1-3 to FTWin, or an FTWin pickup. Here's the roster. Just beating them was enough. Just beating them in a pickup variety in a tournament was enough for people to go crazy that they needed to tweet out about it, even if they didn't win the whole tournament. Hey, we beat Shaq and Keo. That is something. And I had Shaq on the Popcast back earlier in this year. I did ask him about that. I should have asked, like, do you take it as like a sign of respect, or is it kind of annoying that every time you lose once, it's a tweet worthy thing that's going to get 100 likes? Like you guys beat anybody else in the chat. Okay, nobody cares. But you take one game off of FTWin, that's an easy free 100 likes just off of their name brand alone. And it's funny because their Twitter, just how good they used to be, or how good they become. Their Twitter bio used to say, built to beat the best. It doesn't say that anymore. They are the best. They became the best. It just lists all the accomplishments that they has at this point. So a team that was built probably, now you don't get FTWin without whoever paved the way for them, obviously. But you can't deny the fact that the GOATs of Splatoon 2 goes down to FTWin. And everyone has a story, an almost got 'em story. So I'll close out this segment by telling them my story, the story where I almost got a game off of FTWin. Now, when most people say, "Oh, I almost got him," what they really mean is, we blasted past the first minute against them, or I got a double against them, and then I won a trade, so I got a triple against them. We almost got them. If we just played better in this one moment, we would have beat them. Everyone's got a story like that, or at least you're pretty cool if you got a story like that. So here's mine. We're playing them at Low Tide City with I'm playing with Nonfiction. It's Tower Control Shipyard. And they ready up. Now, they're using double blaster, Squiffer, and they had Bagel playing with them, who I believe was using Tent. So it's all right, they're not taking this totally seriously. But my team is, I know I'm going to lose that battle no matter what weapons they use, but I don't care. I never went into a match against FTWin scared. I've been getting my ass beat longer than those guys were, even way before those guys were ever born. So I don't really care. I'm fine with that. But it was so close. We took a good lead early. We were able to hold it on, and it wasn't until the final 10 seconds where it just came down to me and Bagel being the last players left alive, and I lost the 1v1 that I still feel like I could have found a way to win, and they get the lead, and then the game's over. But over the course of that whole 5 minutes, it's just in the back of your mind oh crap, we might take one game off of FTWin. How awesome would this be? And what did they do after they won that game? You would think they'd be sweating. They'd be like, okay, let's go use our mains the second game. We don't get embarrassed here. No, here's what they did. They picked up their phone and they're just watching a Valorant tournament. And then when the game starts up, I was hosting, so I picked the map, and then when the ready up happened, it was they put down their phones and just pick up their weapons and play and beat us and then pick it. They were more interested in a tournament video game they're not even playing at the time than trying to play against us. That's quite a flex, that they don't even have to be interested in their opponent to beat the dog crap out of them when we're still figuring out how to beat them. That's quite the flex. So GG's FTWin. Enjoy college. And obviously a new monster is going to rise from the ashes of this team. Keo probably going to be looking around. Who knows what happens with that. But you can't deny they're not the boats of Splatoon 2. But they're going to be the GOATs. And I don't think it's up for debate. That being said, let's start looking at the teams of the future. the teams that are still playing right now, let's take a look at what happened this past weekend. It is time for the weekly recap. Speaking of a team I really wish had played in Super Jump, because I want to see more of these guys in action against top-level teams. Paddling pool number 173 was won by gas prices yet again. The German Hinterlander team took second place in mid-pot, took third place. Now, either the seeder for this tournament didn't pay attention to their own tournament last week, or just there were a ton of monsters that signed up this time around, because gas prices, who dominated Paddling Pool 172, was seeded number 6 in 173. What? Why were they seeded 6? They just won your tournaments, allegedly against +1 players that last time. But no, they felt like 5 teams were better than gas prices, and gas prices, well, maybe they played a little pissed off. It definitely showed in the results they got there. They did take a loss. They did get swept by the Hinterlander team. Did sweep them, but they still bounced back and swept them out of the tournament. Swept them in a bracket reset to get to a bracket reset, and then swept them in a bracket reset. So, yeah, gas prices, who's been destroying all of us in League forever, are now finally starting to play some tournaments. And man, I really wanted to see what they could do in Super Jump. I'm not saying they'd make top 8, but I want to see them go up against one of these like established monster teams that we got in the top. I want to see what the gauge actually is. 33 teams signed up for the EU Weekly Double Elimination Tournament. 175th edition of this tournament will be coming next week. The SAC qualifier number 3 was won by Falco, which I believe is supposed to be a combination of Farfetch'd and Ditto. Is that correct? Is that how the word Falco came to be? They won it over Synergy, and the team named 64 got third place. I'm not sure if the points have been updated yet after the third qualifier. I did look this morning and they weren't updated. I'm assuming the ping will come out when they are updated. So I was going to do like a little, here's the playoff scenario possibilities for who has to do what in tournament number 4 to make the top 8. But I can't do that much math on my hand, and rather it just be done by itself. So there you go. Falco, Synergy should be the number 1 team. They were already number 1, and they finished second place in the past one, so they should be the number 1 seed as of now, with the points that they've accumulated. Even though they have yet to win a tournament, they finished third, and second, so they've been very consistent. They'll be the number 1 team, but Falco is the clear favorite of this season so far. They've won both tournaments that they signed up for and played in, and I think they've only lost 1 game this entire season of the 2 tournaments they played. I think they lost a game in Swiss in the first tournament. But Falco's looking like a solid contender. Destiny Troops won silver bracket. Astro won bronze. The Nintendo Inkopolis Showdown number 4, the final Showdown tournament, took place on Saturday. It was won by Mad Titans, a.k.a. FTWin, with the addition of Zero. They brought back the King. Man, loosen the DNA. They said, all right, let's bring Zero out of retirement. One of our old arch rivals. Have them join a part with us. And they got revenge on DNA, beating them 4-1. A new team that I'm excited to see going forward as well. DNA also signed up for Super Jump, but couldn't play all the way through. If that Super Jump had DNA and gas prices, really would have liked to see that happen. Trickfish Zone Supremacy took third place alongside Good Morning. I guess they both just tie for third place and don't play a third place tiebreaker. That's an extra free game to stream, Nintendo. Come on. So the 4 champions, Jackpot, Starburst, Super P, and Mad Titans. Hey, we got 4 champions here, and they all seem to be fresh, and they are the final teams at the end of all those tournaments. It's almost like we should do a final Fresh 4 tournament. then see who among those 4 teams is better. What? I don't know. Nintendo hasn't announced it, but don't be surprised if that actually happens. We know it's going to happen. Thus proving that we will see the ghosts of FTWin haunt the Nintendo Tournament 1 last time. And that was your weekly recap, sponsored by the new Destiny Troops slides. Coming to a Kmart near you this fall, Destiny Troops has partnered with Kmart to provide slides with the Destiny Troop logo on it. More information about that will be coming soon. And also keep an eye out for the Destiny Troops romper that is going to be at Sears, coming pretty soon. The Destiny Troops slides, the official sponsor of this week's episode of the Weekly Recap. Hoi. Somebody wants to play Halo with me later. That's fun. Oh, all right. That's enough. That's enough of me talking. Let's let somebody else talk. Somebody with more hair. Someone with a much more beautiful face than me as well. So welcome into the Popcast for the first time ever with a webcam view. And the second time ever on the Popcast. The head TO for Friday Night Frenzy and commentator for some events you might have heard of. Riptide, Low Tide City, Low Inc., Super Jump, and most recently, the Nintendo Tournament. Welcome in, Falco Flyer. Falco, how is morale in Ohio today?
Morale is pretty good in Ohio. Well, it's very warm, but we're feeling pretty good. We're doing good. I've just been super busy. I started a new job last week in the midst of all that chaos that ended from the previous week too. So just lots of changes going on, but we're doing well.
That's good. You know, it's always, any new job I've ever had, I've always hated the first day of work. It always just like, oh, this is new. This is, I'm not acclimated to this yet. It always just sucks no matter what job I have. So hopefully that first week is gotten through and it was all smooth for you.
Yeah, just definitely big changes, so, different type of environment than where I'm working now. So kind of those changes too, but you're right. Kind of changing up your schedule and doing all the orientation stuff is, it can be a little stale sometimes.
Now it's not going to affect your stream schedule, right? Is that still going to be the same? You expect?
Oh, actually, it will change it a little bit, I think. Because I guess for work it doesn't really change it that much, but I will be changing it. I'm going to be chopping off one of my stream days, unfortunately. So,
Oof.
yeah, but I'm going to extend another one a little longer. So I think only a net loss of 1 hour, but it's change that needs to happen just for a better work-life balance,
Well, okay, better work-life balance, but what if you just completely drop your job altogether and just stream 7 days a week and just make a run at that? The American dream.
The American dream of being a full-time streamer. Yeah. I don't know about that. We're not ready for that one. Still gotta pay the bills and support the wife and the dog and all that. So.
Oh, yeah. Happy wife, happy life. Wife might not be happy for streaming all that. Fair enough. Hey, speaking of new experiences, new environments, you commentated the third Nintendo Inc.opolis tournament. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was very amazing working with Jordan and Nine. Just such a pleasure. They were so easy and wonderful to work with, and definitely just a unique experience that I'm extremely thankful for. So it was incredible.
How nervous were you when you were doing that? I mean, you got the webcam up there. You got idiots in YouTube chat saying Lord knows what. Like, was it a different feeling in your chest when you were commentating that thing?
Yeah, certainly. And I've done commentary with webcam before. You've done commentary with webcam on Friday Night Frenzy and at LANs, and no matter what type of commentary you're doing, you shouldn't pay attention to any chat that's going on. That's not going to make you perform or do better anyways. So, yeah, but you're right. Just a whole new crowd. Obviously, Nintendo has a very loyal following and a lot more viewers and subscribers on Twitch and YouTube. So just a completely different type of experience.
Was there any kind of unique preparation that went into that? Obviously, like you said, the webcams, it's not something you're obviously not accustomed to. People know what your face looks like. But what about like the TriCast? I mean, that's even the TriCast that they did at Low Tide City seems like it's a little bit different than what Nintendo did. So like, how was just like the preparation for all that stuff?
Yeah, and I mean, I worked with great people with Jordan and Nine, and we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into preparing for that. But in general, TriCasting, you're right. Like, people don't do it often. We don't really see it in Splatoon, and it's rare that we even have webcams when we stream and stream tournaments. So just kind of figuring out how you pick up the pace and how you work with these other commentators is something you have to be able to do. And I mean, just from my streaming experience, I've streamed for thousands of hours on Twitch. Like I know to focus right at my webcam. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not looking at me. I'm below here. I'm looking straight ahead. So yeah, those are things that you definitely need to to try and make sure that you're doing. And but yeah, it's when we're commentating for low ink or little squid league, I've done both of those. You can even just like sit back, do this, talking to the mic, kind of just be a little more maybe relaxed. But when you're streaming with a webcam, when you're commentating with a webcam, you are on it. You are on the whole time.
Yeah, that's and you're on for like an extended amount of time too. Like with lands, you're talking basically for 2 straight hours. But again, like the audience is just completely different from that. You got a lot more casual people, a lot more people watching the tournament who aren't used to seeing competitive Splatoon at all. Now, you and me and the idiots in chat are used to seeing competitive Splatoon. So we recognize when DNA beats, was it FTWin or were they not FTWin in that tournament? Technically.
They were not FTWin for the Inkopla Showdown 3.
Okay. We were still expecting them, though, to win that whole tournament. And then they come on against DNA and they lose one game and then they lose two. And then all of a sudden it's a sweep. And we're like, okay, well, who are these DNA guys? Which we find out more about them later. I mean, but in their debut, you're commentating that set. Like, what's going through your mind as you're watching this monumental upset happening right in front of your face and you're commentating it?
Yeah, I mean, clearly the crowd, I'll say crowd favorite, the team that everybody thought was going to win was going to be not FTWin. But you're right, them getting 3-0'd, it's just kind of like, wait, yeah, who are these people and what's going to happen in their next match too? And we don't get to see not FTWin play any other team then. They're done. And those 3 wins, they appeared to be pretty convincing, favoring DNA. So it was a shock, but I mean that just made it more exciting because we don't know who's going to come out on top in the finals.
Yeah, it might, and all of a sudden, it's like low ink, like you're preparing in your brain, like, okay, these two teams are going to be up in winners finals. Let me do some research on them, and all of a sudden they both get upset, and you're commentating the winners finals for two teams you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh, let me go back and rewrite what I was going to say about these guys. But yeah, hey, congratulations on the Nintendo thing. That was really exciting. And it's hopefully we can see some more of that in the future. That would be really cool out of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was such a wonderful opportunity and very, very happy and excited to do it.
Now, it's not just now the casuals might now know you from Nintendo, but we know you from Five Night at Falco's, or I guess 7 weeks, as we can say right now. How'd the last season go in your perspective?
Yeah. Hey, the last season we had the most competitive matchups that we had seen over the course of the entire series. So the fact that we were able to show those and there were a lot of sets that weren't 3-0s, which is something we're really looking forward to broadcasting, and um, a lot of sets that had a game three deciding game, because a lot of the times it will be a team, they win the first two, who wins the set, then the other team wins the game three, and it's still 2-1, but it's not as a hype or ooh, moment. Uh, but yeah, again, just more competitive matchups, and we had a better idea of the selection process and how we wanted to choose which teams we're playing. I think we had a better understanding of what we were looking for and more resources that we could use to help us kind of look at these teams and help us figure out which ones would be best to show in season four.
Did any teams surprise you this season with how well they played? I mean, it was so competitive. It was just a coin flip as who actually won. But was there anybody that just really stuck out to you as like, whoa, these guys really stepped up?
Yeah, one team in particular I would say is Ink Bashers, because at the beginning of the season they
Yeah.
disbanded about a week before. And, typically if you're disbanding, you're not going to be as enticed to play, you're not as motivated, maybe you're a little lackadaisical. I don't want to say that they didn't try. They obviously did. They did very well, but you just don't have the same drive that the other teams did. So, I mean, they ended 5-1 at the end of the regular season. So, yeah, you can't complain about that record.
Yeah, they surprised me as well because they did disband, like you said, and it looked like they were the clear-cut best team after all of the weeks. I mean, you deal with a lot week to week. You don't know, oh, this person can't play Friday. I need to get a sub or whatever. So like to survive all of that and to be 5-1 was not to discredit Ink Bashers, but I wasn't expecting that kind of result after them, especially with all the teams they had to play up against as well.
Right. And I mean, they lost their first set to New Horizons. So,
Yeah.
and it was a very close game. That was actually a set we had to pre record ahead of the season. There were a few sets that we did that for. And that's something we actually had never done in any other season, was have pre recorded matches, just because it's hard to get teams to commit and play on Fridays for 8 weeks in a row. And I remember in one of your podcast episodes, you asked why would people do that, but I mean they're going to be facing great quality teams, and they want to try and get that practice in.
Well, one of the reasons why they want to do it is because the stream is just phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here. I've said that several times as well on the Popcast. Like you're doing things that nobody else is really doing unless it's a major. You're putting commentators on camera. You're not commentating anymore. You've like this analyst desk kind of role that you've kind of taken on there. You're asking people what band instrument they would play. It's unique. There's nothing else like it. There's except for maybe Tassel, but there's nothing else really like it. So I got to ask with the stream, is there anything else that you've wanted to add to it that you haven't really like figured out how to do yet, or is there like any like bucket list, dream list thing you want to add to your stream just to take it to another level?
So I don't want to give out any ideas about
Oh,
what we
come on,
potentially have in store,
leak some
but I
stuff
will.
here.
I will say in the playoffs, we had live interviews after the sets. And that was
Yeah.
something that I had wanted to coordinate for quite some time, but I wasn't really sure the best way to incorporate it. And I realized that for the playoffs, this is probably going to be a good time, or at least a time that would be most enticing for the people being interviewed and the viewers as well. And just because there's a little more of an unpredictable start time for the teams, because you're just at the mercy of when the previous set ends. Whereas in a typical week, it's, hey, this is your set time. 25 minutes later, we have the next set. So the live interviews were great. And, I have a Google Doc, and I would see somebody in the waiting room. I would type their name on the Google Doc, and the Google Doc would update what shows on OBS. So that's how all the magic works for all that. But I had Bluey help me out with that, with dragging people, muting people, all that. So Bluey, thank you for your work, appreciate it. And one other thing that I'm glad that we did for the playoffs too was kind of have like a preview of the matches, because for the playoffs these are teams that have all played each other during the regular season, and we gathered the footage of when these teams played and were able to kind of make a little bit of a montage to show, hey, here's what happened earlier this season when Ink Bashers played New Horizon. Let's take a look. And that can get people kind of excited, maybe set the tone. People can know what's at stake. People can see what week they played and see how long that these teams have had to practice. So just kind of those things are ideas that we've implemented for the first time. And yeah, it was only during the playoffs, but it was something we've wanted to do for a while, and we finally were able to do it.
Yeah, that was. I mean, obviously, I commentated that, so that was something I kind of experienced firsthand. But yeah, those little montage videos, the player interviews were interesting, uh, to say the least, with that as well. But yeah, again, those are just things nobody else really do. Now it's hard when you got a lot more teams and you're just doing a one thing event. Yeah, it's hard to pull those things off. But when you got the environment that you do, obviously you can kind of just do whatever you want if you just want to put the elbow grease into it. I remember the first tournament that you did, or the first season, like you had that little pause screen because you had to let everything like calculate for like 10
Yeah.
seconds or something. So like
Yeah.
how the transition from season 1 to where we are now, is it the kind of growth you were expecting, or is this like are you kind of pleased with where it's taken off since then?
I've been very pleased with where it's been, and you don't know what's going to happen unless you try. Because when I wanted to start a series tournament, that was I had an idea of it about I think it was like January 2021, so just 18 months ago or so, and you're just kind of building stuff like, can we make this work? Can we have 8 teams who would be willing to play? And I didn't even think I needed a great stream if I just had the matches just kind of straight up. And at that point, Bluey and we were the people doing the commentary, because I didn't want to have I was a little embarrassed. I didn't want to ask like any really good commentator to come on just to have a production that might not look great. But yeah, I mean, going from season 2 to season 3, we had changes from and then season 3 to season 4, just kind of things that I learned a lot more about OBS and the capabilities just from streaming, and figuring out, oh, I want to have an updated scroll. What could I do to do that? Oh, here's what I need to do. And kind of create calculated fields. So just using different applications. And I'm not like a web developer. I'm a nerd, but like I'm not like a computer science major or educator. I don't really have a lot of computer science background as it is, but just kind of figuring those things out as they go, I think, is probably the biggest thing that has kept me going.
Yeah, and when you look at just the teams that signed up in the first season up to where you are now, it's fair to say you had some like casual people that were interested in competitive to begin with, and now you're getting name brand alpha bracket low link teams, and even some teams that just won or were recently banned from low link. Is that something you want to try to continue going forward, like that kind of skill range?
So the skill range, I'm not quite sure if I mean, it's like a good skill range to have. I think the most important thing is to have an established team, or a season with all established teams, because if you have an established team, you're going to have players who know the commitment of playing in a tournament. It's really easy to create a pickup that doesn't really form, or, oh, this sounds fun, let's do it, and then a week later you're like, I don't like playing with you guys, I'm sorry. That's why it's so different than a traditional tournament, where it might be 1 or 2 days you play, then you figure out, oh, should we play in another tournament? Yes, no. But no, it's you need to get teams who want to play, and typically those are teams who are established already, and just have experience playing against some of these other teams too. Because as far as I'm concerned, a lot of these teams in season 4, they've played the other teams just sometime throughout low ink, maybe any other tournament that has come up. But I mean, that's why this season was so great. Just kind of the tight this tight skill level that we had.
Yeah, and then you bring in all the teams, and then one of them disbands but plays out the season anyways. And then you got a team like New Horizons, which like forms during your tournament and just kind of absorbs the other slot. So always some interesting things, but still a really great season, obviously, and we're excited for the next one. Shifting gears to land stuff, you're going not going to Shine, but Riptide and Big House.
Yes. Riptide for sure. I saw the announcement. I registered within 10 minutes. I'm still salty that Prochara beat me to sign up, so I was
Right.
number 2. You were number 3, if I recall.
That is
I think
correct.
you were I think you were the third one to sign up. But yeah, so got all that booked. My team, we are excited. This is going to be their first LAN for all 3 of our other members, so I'm very excited for them because it's going to be a lot of fun. And Big House, yes, I will be driving up, I think, on Saturday, and I'm not going to compete. If I can commentate, I'd love to do that, but I think I'll just be there Saturday, Sunday, and probably head back home Sunday night.
That's literally what the wife and I are going to do with Big House. Just kind of go up there, just see it. I mean, I think we know that's going to be the bigger event, or at least we're hoping that's going to be the bigger event. But it's just convenient. All this stuff is happening in the Midwest for us, for sure.
We're so spoiled.
We are, honestly. I mean, and we got to fly once a year to Texas. So be it. We make that work, obviously. Are you concerned at all that we didn't get any posts today from Nintendo? Is that a red flag thing? I mean, to be fair, we've been getting them pretty consistently for the past couple of months on one day.
Yeah, no, I don't think it raises a red flag. And, you mentioned this early on this stream that a lot of the things we've seen are clothing or things that we kind of expected would be announced. They've taken days off before. It's not anything that is new, I guess. And I think it's just the fact that, we know Splatoon 3 is coming out next month. Literally, it's August 1st today. So a lot of people, I think, will maybe psych themselves out if they have too many narratives running in their head about what this could mean. But I don't think we have anything to be concerned about.
Well, I guess the concern from the TO side is, oh crap, we're supposed to have a tournament on launch day. We sure do hope this thing actually launches on that day, or else all of Riptide needs to be put into the oven again as we try to figure out what to do. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the frustration. And like, are you playing? Did you sign up to commentate for Riptide?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so like the goal is probably to try to commentate the Splatoon 3 event, which for most games, I like to be in the dark. Like Breath of the Wild 2, I won't watch anything. I want to be pleasantly surprised on my own. But if I'm going to commentate Splatoon 3, I need to know what the hell I'm talking about. I like, okay, somebody's using the Luigi vacuum all of a sudden. I need to get some information about, at this point, all we know is just turf war.
The thing is, you're going to be as clueless as the players who are playing it at Popgun. That's going to make it even better. I'm excited for that. And I've expressed this on Twitter, the fact that we're going to have a day 1 Splatoon 3 tournament. You're not going to get this experience anywhere else, and at least in the Splatoon series, I doubt. So take it all in. Go in blind. Just have fun. It's a side event for a reason. Splatoon 2 is still going to be the main event at Riptide. But the fact that we have just kind of this whimsical, okay, everyone just go, players good luck, commentators even better luck to you to figure out what to commentate. And to your credit, we might not know what some of these specials are as we see them come up. So I don't know, I think it just makes it a lot more fun.
It is going to be fun, and again, it's going to be great to stream. It's going to be a fantastic stream, especially on that day, because you're going to have a lot of people that are just going to go onto Twitch and just search Splatoon 3 just to see, I don't have the game, I just want to see somebody playing it. And they're going to come across this LAN tournament, and they're going to be so confused but it's still going to be awesome because we're just going to get a bunch of randos just dropping in on the stream and seeing live competitive Splatoon in front of their face. It just makes me think, oh wait, I really hope this doesn't get delayed because then we lose all of that. But yeah, I'm not panicking just yet. But I would really like to see some sort of direct at some point. But you can't control that, I guess.
Direct would be great to see, but I guess we'll have to find out. Yeah.
We're hanging out Sunday. We're driving past.
Yeah.
What is okay? So we're eating at a
Skyline Chili.
Skyline Chili, yeah. And I'm fine with Skyline Chili. I actually looked at the menu today. I might consider getting like a small 5-way, which I thought beans came in chili anyways. That's chili where I came from, so be it. But what is your infatuation with Skyline? Are they like endorsing you somehow? Like you never miss a moment to talk about them.
I don't, because it's a Cincinnati luxury. I mean, it's so if you don't know, it's absolutely, yeah. If you don't know Skyline, it is spaghetti, chili, and cheese, and it's kind of like a chili spaghetti dish, except the chili itself isn't very spicy. It's actually very sweet and has a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of chocolate, but it's not like a dessert type dish. It's just like a very, very sweet dish to eat. And I mean, I love it. My wife loves it. We grew up on it, basically. I'll say that. And it's just all kind of around Southern Ohio. There's actually 6 retail locations in Florida too, believe it or not. I think all the snowbirds complained when they couldn't get their Skyline, so they decided to put some down there. So
Fair enough.
I mean, I'm happy for you to try. I'm surprised you've never had it before.
Oh no, I've had it.
Okay.
We went to some Red games when I was a kid, and we had it then, and we got one in Indianapolis. We have one here, like on the south side. My wife and I went once, and then we were like, why would we go here when we could go literally anywhere else? It's not that it was bad or anything, but I'm looking forward seeing it again. I think a 5-way might be pretty delicious. Not gonna lie, but.
I've actually never had the 5-way before. My go-to dish is the 2 conies with onion and mustard, and then a side Greek salad with no olives and no tomatoes.
Okay.
But it's good. I'm a coney person. The spaghetti, chili, and cheese is good too, but I like the cheese conies.
Fair enough. So I'll see you this upcoming weekend, then we'll get some.
Yeah.
Go ahead and plug yourself, because nobody knows who you are, apparently.
Yeah. Well, hey, I am Falco Flyer. You can find me on twitch.tv/Falco Flyer and on Twitter, Falco Flyer 11. I'll be streaming tomorrow 5 p.m. Eastern time, and then I stream every Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. I know, Popgun, that is too early for you, because you think I'm crazy for streaming that early sometimes,
yes.
But it's what I gotta do. It's my schedule. So, but yeah, I play solo queue. I talk about food, talk about Skyline a lot too. Sometimes my dog makes an appearance, but she's not down here. So, if you like food and dogs, then come by the stream.
Hey, thank you for coming on. Thank you for helping me set up the video thing here. And sorry for the scuffed overlay. Carrot's working on one that's going to be much better coming down the pipe. But
oh, it doesn't look bad. I'm looking at it now. It looks good.
Well, I just realized the chat's not here. Not that not that they're saying anything interesting, but the people on YouTube are going to be really confused, I guess. But so be it. Thanks again. We'll see you later this week, and we'll probably have you back on the Popcast at the end of next season as well. So.
All right. Thank you, Popgun. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Sunday.
And that was the Falco Flyer coming in for the second time, giving us some takes on the Nintendo stuff. And it was, wow, it really surprised me. First off, that Nintendo was doing commentators to fill in that Ashley spot that was traditionally had, but also that they were bringing in people from the actual community. And that was what's so cool when they had, who did they had on week 1? Gosh, I already forgot. It was Mel. They had Mel on week 1. they had Shiny Hunter Zach on week 2, and then Falco, and then Rizza. And it's like, okay, good. They're bringing in the people from the actual grassroots community and starting to make connections right there. I've dunked on Nintendo several times before, but I like the fact that they're now starting to reach out to the actual grassroots community and starting bringing them in to commentate their events. That kind of connection is good. Again, I can always appreciate the fact that Nintendo is trying. There's always some things they do that make you think, I wish they could move forward with this. But I really like the fact that they were bringing in but like the people we all know from the competitive scene to commentate these events. It's really awesome. That's the end of today's episode. Again, fingers crossed there shouldn't be an episode next week, but if something crazy happens, we'll pull one off. If you would like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, if you would like to have a webcam interview yourself, now that is something that I can pull off slightly, and it could probably replicate again in the future, feel free to reach out to me at my socials below. Twitter, Mr._Popgun, Discord, Popgun, #5882, YouTube at Popgun25, Twitch at 25Popgun, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Magic isn't streaming, but is on a stream of something. Setu98. Let's go raid that. And we'll give you guys a review of Skyline Chili next time we're on. How about that? Is this going to work out? Channels intended for mature audiences. You might hear a dirty word. Get vaccinated and stay safe. Don't die. There's a lot of diseases out there. Avoid them if you can.